Right, good evening. This is Rico Olivares, and welcome to my second episode of my Infinite Playlist, where I take you through my record, CD, and cassette collection. In the first episode, I showed you my records, my 12-inch records of the Jam, Style Council, and Paul Weller. Only the 12 inchers. I'm not showing the 7 inchers and the 10 inchers. But for tonight, I'm adding the 10 inchers from my record store day hauls from the last couple of years. I'm going to start out. I'm not pulling them out by my favorites. I'm just pulling them out as I got them. And this, the first one that I ever got, Acoustic Dreams from Echo Smith. Yeah, it's got Cool Kids, and I got it because of Cool Kids. I wanted to give them a try. They're okay. I mean, it's my only record of Echo Smith. And speaking of 10-inch records, there's John Coltrane's The Roulette Sides. And I got this at the Roxy in Hong Kong. Is it Hong Kong? Singapore. Singapore. Okay, the Roxy. Okay. So I love John Coltrane. I love a lot of the old-time jazz. Coltrane, Miles Davis, Mingus, all that old stuff I really dig. In terms of 80s jazz and upwards, there's stuff that I like, but I really prefer a lot of the old stuff. Okay, here's another one. The Brian Setzer Orchestra Live. I'm a big fan of Brian Setzer since his days with the Stray Cats, and even all the way to the Brian Setzer Orchestra. I just love his stuff. So this one, I got it. Let There Be Rock. It's a remake of AC/DC's classic. And there's a homage to Gene Vincent and Eddie. So Eddie Cochran. So I got that one. This one is one of my favorites. Not just from Record Store Day, but one of my favorite records. Santana, the Woodstock 1969 album. This came out several years ago. And I was a kid during Woodstock in 69. I was, 3 years old? So I wasn't aware of what it was until years later. And I recall listening to DZRJ, they would play a lot of Santana. So I was already hearing them on the radio, but I did not have any of their records until their album Marathon. By the time I was already listening to the American Top 40. And I think their vocalist at the time was Alex Ligertwood, the Scotsman. And they had songs like Hold On and You Know That I Love You. And I just really love that record. It was my first Santana record, and I backtracked all the way to their first album, and I was a fan. Now for Woodstock, I do have the Woodstock, the original pressing, but that was incomplete, obviously. And when this came out, I knew I just had to have it, and I absolutely love this record. One of my favorites. Whitesnake. Okay, when this came out, you have to bear me because they're all in plastic. I keep them all in plastic. Okay, so there it is. This is a picture disc. I was a fan of Whitesnake growing up, and that stemmed from my being a fan of Deep Purple. So I listened to a lot of those English hard rock bands, those metal bands and all that. And Whitesnake I liked. I think at the time I was picking up a lot of these English acts, and Whitesnake was one of them. I do have the original pressing of this one, but this one just looks so neat, so cool, and it's a picture disc. I knew I had to have this one. Have I played it? Of course, probably a couple of times. Smashing Pumpkins, picture disc as well. Okay, this is their last album, Shiny and Oh So Bright. I do have the regular pressing of that one, and as you can see, there's still the dollar price, almost $30. So I just wanted to have this because I'm a massive Pumpkins fan. Have I played this? Yes, I do. I play all my records. It's not like I get them just to collect them. No, I listen to them. I really do. And some people ask, like, okay, you have them signed, you have your name on it. Well, I asked them to sign it because it's mine. It's not because I haven't any intentions of selling them. I'm gonna when I die, they go to my kids. That's it. So it's too bad. It has my name on them, but not everything. The Rolling Stones, their Satanic Majesty's Request, complete with the hologram cover. And this was when they were experimenting with psychedelic music. It was a far cry from their music when they were doing Get Off My Cloud and Satisfaction. And you know, I when I got into this record, I was listening to Pink Floyd and stuff like that. So it was easy to get into this. I mean, I'm not a massive Stones fan. I mean, I like them, but I don't have a lot of the records. I do have some, but not a lot. This one, I do love it. Well, kind of think that this is their Sgt. Pepper's album, their version of that one. The Ramones, the Sun Dragon sessions, and these are the demo versions of the Ramones Leave Home. And of course, as a Ramones fan, I needed to have this, and as a completist, and it sounds great. It really does sound great. Anything the Ramones I collect. Rage Against the Machine. Yeah, since their first album, I've been listening to a lot to their music, and you can say that I'm also a completist when it comes to their stuff. This was recorded live at the Democratic National Convention of 2000. First time it's available on vinyl, so I had to get this one. And speaking of Rage Against the Machine, Live and Rare. This came out on compact disc, and I do have the compact disc. I got it when it first came out. And this double album features outtakes, and it has Darkness, which appeared on the soundtrack of The Crow. As a fan of Rage Against the Machine, again, being a completist, I wanted to have it. And, you know, first time on vinyl, of course I have it. I have all the records. Here's a 10-inch record from Albert Hammond of the Strokes, Francis Trouble. And this is the 10-inch version called Etchings from Francis Trouble. Believe it or not, this is a lot better than his regular record, Francis Trouble. So it's pretty great. I'm keeping it. I'm keeping that record. I told you earlier about getting into Pink Floyd. Like many others who got into Pink Floyd with The Dark Side of the Moon, I came in because I remember, I think I was in grade 6 when The Wall came out. So that's how I got into Pink Floyd. Of course, I already heard Dark Side of the Moon, but The Wall made me a fan, so I backtracked, and until I got a lot of their early stuff. This is the mono version of Piper at the Gates of Dawn. It's got a cool cover, psychedelic cover, and it's in a slip case. There's the records inside with the original cover, and it's got a poster. Do I play this? I do, but I play my original record a bit more. I love it. I love all this old stuff. And in fact, this is not a record store day record, but might as well show it anyway. As a fan of the Syd Barrett Pink Floyd, this is it. This is one of those records I absolutely love. It's a concert in London in 1966 and 67. It's only got 2 tracks. Interstellar Overdrive, almost 17 minutes, and Nick's Boogie, which clocks almost 12 minutes. So it's in 10-inch form, and I'm just happy to have this too. It's not a record store day record, but just to illustrate my being a fan of the Syd Barrett, Pink Floyd. I used to have all the records, in fact, everything. But when I moved abroad, I lost a lot of my titles. Some were thrown out by my mom, some I later lost to a flood. But I always made sure that I had The Wall and Dark Side of the Moon. In terms of compact discs, yeah, I have everything from the band. But my treasured records of Animals, because for a while Animals was my favorite. I lost a lot of that, so I need to get them back. Okay. This came out on Record Store Day. It's a repress, Metallica. You know, it's the EP, the $598 EP. Garage Days revisited for the first time since 1989. This is available. So I got this one. Metallica, I'm okay. I can't say I'm an overly massive fan. I do have a few of the records, but not much. They're okay. I got it because it was featured in the early days of the band, and the music was different. So I love this stuff. Linkin Park Live features the last recordings of Chester Bennington with the band, and it's a record store day exclusive. I actually got Mike Shinoda to sign it. You're not going to see it because it's right behind the hype sticker. I took out the shrink wrap and for him to sign and I had to slip it back on. I do love Linkin Park. I thought during this time their music had totally changed. It was a little less edgier when they first came out with Hybrid Theory. But nonetheless, the talent is still there. They made some pretty good songs. And I love this. I love this record. And that's a great cover. The second jazz record from Record Store Day, Ella Fitzgerald at Zardy's. This is her first live recording ever. And they were in the vaults and it was eventually discovered and they put it out on wax. As a massive Fitzgerald fan, I got into Ella with the Gershwin songbook. That was various artists. It was various artists compilation. Bing Crosby was there and others. I mean, my dad would play Ella Fitzgerald, but my best friend at the time, Dan, he said, "Hey, Rick, you got to get this Gershwin songbook." It was titled "It's Marvelous," and I got it. There were two of them, "It's Marvelous" and "It's Wonderful." And after that, the song that they featured there was "Let's Call the Whole Thing Off" or "Do It with Satchmo." And like I said, I grew up listening to them because my dad would play them a lot. But as I was older at the time, and this is in the mid-90s, and I really dug that compact disc. I got my own. It's Marvelous and It's Wonderful. I bought them in Hong Kong eventually because I couldn't find them over here. That was when Tower Records first opened in Glorieta, and they just featured a lot of stuff that they were never able to get again. I would know that because I frequented the place, and I remember I'd dig for CDs and stuff along with Basquiat Daddy and Francis Magalon, who's an old friend. And that's where I got the complete Ella and Louis Fitzgerald on CD, which I still have, and it was kind of expensive back then. I think they sold it for about $1,500, if I'm not mistaken. That was a lot of money back in the mid-90s, and really a lot, because CDs individually were just $375, $425, but $1,500. It was like a box, not exactly a box set, but a collection. And I had it. I wanted to have it. Since then, I've gotten quite a few Ella Fitzgerald records, and I just have to have this one. David Bowie. My first Bowie album was ever Scary Monsters, and that was a result of reading of that record on Jingle magazine. And it had a weird cover, but I mean, what's not weird with Bowie, right? So I remember I went down to buy it and really enjoyed it. I thought that Bowie was in his new wave phase back then, along with the next one, Let's Dance. And he did that track with Queen, Under Pressure. So he was in his new wave phase. This goes back to the Major Tom days and all that. So this was one of the sought after records several years ago, and this came out on Record Store Day. And where did I get this? Singapore. I got it in Singapore. So I'm happy that I have this one. Okay. Louis Armstrong. Disney sings the song, Disney songs the Satchmo way. And this is really a great record. And you know, Louis Armstrong, he's got this distinct voice, ushered along with this really trumpet, which sounds really fun and all, the wailing trumpet. And This is just great stuff. I'm so happy I have this. I have this on compact disc, but getting this for Record Store Day was just amazing. You know, used to play this during New Year's. Um, I'm happy to have one from Vista Records. That's the Walt Disney label. Okay, this is from last year. Canadian band Stars. I'm a big fan of this band. I have a lot of their stuff, mostly on CD. The Sad Robots EP. 6 tracks and such a cool band. I've seen them in the US twice, and I've seen them here in the Philippines. So this is a great record. I love this. I love this EP. And speaking of Stars, here is their main band, Broken Social Scene, because many of the members perform with Broken Social Scene, which is like a collective. This is a great one. Let's try the After. And after this, I got their Live at Third Band Records, and it's somewhere up here in my racks. Great stuff here, 10 songs. I discovered Broken Social Scene in 2003. When You Forgotten People first came out, I was working at Virgin Records, and the hype sticker was pretty cool. And the cover of the CD had this feel of the Smiths, so I just had to get it. I got it without even hearing their music, and that's kind of a problem when you really go for indie music. Sometimes you don't know what they sound like, so you just hope that it's good. Have I bought my share of lousy indie stuff? Of course. And I do. I still have some of them upstairs to remind me of my folly. But with Broken Social Scene, that was the jackpot. And thankfully, they also went on tour of the US at the time to support You Forgotten People, and I got to see them there. And I later saw them in Singapore for their promotions of Forgiveness Rock record, which I was able to get them signed. I love this band. Speaking of Darkness from Rage Against the Machine, this is the Pro. And 25th anniversary version, and limited to 8,000 copies. First time on vinyl. I also had to get this one because I think The Crow is such a great soundtrack. Everything here is just absolutely wonderful. This was during the alternative years in the 90s, and as a fan of the comic book The Crow, this is like a must have along with the DVDs. I have the various DVDs of The Crow. So this is great. Another soundtrack, I Am Sam, featuring updated and modern versions of Beatles classics by various artists, and such as Sarah McLachlan, Rufus Wainwright, The Wallflowers, Eddie Vedder, Sheryl Crow, the Black Crowes. I love the Black Crowes, and Paul Westerberg. Simply a beautiful, beautiful record. And like a lot of the stuff on Record Store Day, it's the first time in vinyl, so I had to have this. I think I have 3 copies of the CD. The CD, one from the US, one from the Philippines, and one from the UK. The repress, after it initially came out, lost in translation. And I love this record, along with the film. I remember when I saw this, it was at the AMC Theater at 42nd Street, and that's my first time to see Scarlett Johansson. I knew of her in previous films, like Ghost World, and I thought it was pretty weird. But when I watched it again decades later, I totally dug it. And I didn't know what to expect, except I knew that people were raving about Bill Murray's performance, and ScarJo was just an absolutely gorgeous lady. So I saw it and was not only blown away by the film, it's absolutely beautiful, but also by the soundtrack that is mostly shoegaze. And it got me interested once more in shoegaze. In the 90s, I first got into dream pop bands like Cocteau Twins, but it was with Ride, Lush, and My Bloody Valentine, and of course Slowdive that I really got into the genre. But when that scene sort of died down, I kind of forgot it, but it was the foreign bands, bands like Pink Shiny Ultra Blast that also got me back. Of course, them coming out in Lost in Translation, and then MDV's Return album came out, so it was a fun way to come back to shoegaze music. And this is just an absolute must. Speaking of Scarjo, this is a young Scarjo on Ghostwave. A very eclectic album filled with different tunes, weird tunes, and like the comic book Ghost World, which is really weird. And I do have the trade paperback of this one. I think it's a great album if you're into eclectic music. From Woodstock in 1994, Green Day's set. They performed 10 songs. So this was in support of Dookie at the time. They were just really massive there. So I got this one. I'm an okay Green Day fan. I'm not a big fan of their stuff. And speaking of big fans, here's Pearl Jam from their MTV Unplugged session. This one I knew I had to have. I love Pearl Jam. I really do. Joe Satriani, Surfing with the Alien. This is the RSD version without the Silver Surfer on the cover because there was some disputed Marvel. The cool thing about this version is that there are two discs. One is the original with Joe Satriani's licks, and the second one is without his guitar riffs and all that stuff. It's up to you if you want to play it, so you can play alongside it. This is really great. You know. I do have the original. When it came out, to be honest with you, because when Joe Satriani came out with Surfing with the Alien, that was after Eddie Van Halen, late Eddie Van Halen, was like hailed as a guitar god for all this stuff. And Joe came out along with Steve Vai, who sounded a lot like Eddie Van Halen. I must admit that part of the appeal in picking up Surfing with the Alien was the Silver Surfer, being a Marvel comic book fan. But you know, the music stood on its own and it's really great. For the record store day drops in this 2020, here's the first one that I got from Pale Saints, one of those shoegaze bands, Mrs. Dolphin. This was released in Japan and it's the first time it's available on wax. It's a compilation of different stuff that was put out in Japan. I like the Pale Saints. The Cure, 17 Seconds. I love The Cure. I wasn't really planning on getting this, but since it was just right there in front of me, I said, okay, let me get this one. And I did. But it's not the Cure record that I wanted to really talk about. It's this one, Blood Flowers. When this came out in '04, I got it on CD, and I still do have that CD. And I remember they went on tour in support of this, and bands like Interpol opened for them. I saw them at Randall's Island, and it was only then that I realized that this was like part 3 of their trilogy, including Pornography and Disintegration. And this is just a great record, you know. Was, in just my opinion, this was their last great record. Totally underrated, good stuff. It's a return to form. I'm not a big fan of The Cure when they do their new wave, their sugary new wave stuff, but their goth and heavy and doom-laden work, I absolutely love it. Blood Flowers is right there, along with this, with Disintegration and Pornography. Okay. Lions from the Black Crowes. I'm a fan, but not a major fan. I don't have a lot of their stuff, but I mean, I like them. This is a great record, a really great record. I'm just happy to have it. I have a few more 12 inches to show. 11 o'clock TikTok. the first U2 song that I liked after A Day Without Me. And the single sounds a lot different from what you heard in Under a Blood Red Sky, but I love the rawness of the song. It's sparse instrumentation, and you can feel the influence of Joy Division on U2 at the time. And this is just a great record to have. Really cool. I'm not the U2 completist. I mean, in terms of albums, yes, but when it comes to EPs and 12-inch singles, no, I'm not. I usually reserve that for Paul Weller, Rancid, and a few others. Dance Craze, the 40th anniversary of the soundtrack to the film. And when I first got this, it was a local press, and it was so great. I absolutely love it. I wish I still had the Philippine pressing of this. Do have the Japanese, the UK, and the American pressing, but this was remastered at half speed, and it just sounds really great, so much better than the original records. So that means I'm happy to have it. And to complete the two-tone celebrations 40th anniversary, this our two-tone featuring various singles from different bands during the two-tone era. Again, it's mastered at half speed. Sounds great. Hold on a second. There are two more that I want to show. BMX Bandits C86, their second record. And this is just really good. I love the remastered version. I can't say I'm a huge fan. I am a fan, but I don't own all the records. I have this and the next one, Star Wars. But this is just really great. When you listen to this, you'll see where bands like Bell and Sebastian got their inspiration, and it's the BMX band. Plus the fact that Kurt Cobain said that if there was another band that you could perform with outside Nirvana, it would have been the BMX Bandits. The last record in my small RSD collection is this one, Carry All's Home. It came out 16 years ago on cassette, and they re-released this on Record Store Day, first time on vinyl. This is a very good record. If you're expecting a lot of ska, no, it's not ska. It's not, but it's a really good record. I have 7-inch releases from RSD, but I'm not going to show you that because they're going to go in that video where I talk about 7-inch records. So there. What I'm going to be trying to do is to talk about different stuff in my collection. So this is the second one I've done, and it's about my Record Store Day collection. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and when I do come back, I'm not sure if I'll go to my OPM. I talked about my OPM records. I'm not sure, or I'll do my 7-inch record collection. It's a homage to the late John Peel, that influential British DJ. So we'll see what happens, but nevertheless, I want to thank you for watching. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye. Hope you enjoyed it.